Hello, we return with another crackhead post, or schizo ramble, because the CIA has definitely given me way too much LSD than it should. Today, we're going to be talking about possibly launching a insurgent guerrilla operation in the land of the Lorax, the 2012 animated movie. So, first things first, with the environment, we're going to be talking about after all the trees are cut down. Left just plain, barren, empty fucking area, right? So we're going to first start off with the insurgents. The insurgents have several pros, but several cons. First, we're going to start off with the cons. This should be self explanatory if you're ever starting up an insurgent warfare. Uh, Basically, you're going to have shitty equipment. You're going to be running shit AKs that most likely have been from probably Vladivostok to South Africa. Most likely 10,000 rounds through them, and almost half of those rounds definitely missed their target. So you have shit weaponry. You have lesser you have lesser supplies. Basically, you don't have the logistics to keep up this warfare. That's why you're using less. That's why you're just launching an ambush from a hill and then immediately dipping back into the caves. We'll get to that. And due to the landscape, you're not really going to be able to grow a lot of food, nor are you going to find a lot of people out there. It is shown that there really isn't anyone outside of Thneedville, but that also plays into your advantage if you're an insurgent. So first things first, we're going to talk about the operating style that you can use. You can sort of operate like the Mujahideen did back in the Soviet-Afghan War. You can basically weave in and out of caves in the mountains, and it's going to be much harder for the main opposing force, Thneedville, run by O'Hare, to counterattack. Basically, you can pop out of a cave on top of a hill, blast down either into the city or onto a convoy, knocking it out, and then just dip right back into the cave system, and no one's ever going to find you. But you're also not going to have civilian support because almost all the civilians are in Thneedville. But that will, if you don't care about the civilians and are just kind of saying, fuck this bullshit, I'm going to take your city now, Thneedville also operates as the perfect opportunity to do so. Because shown in the movie, Thneedville is in a big valley. It's surrounded entirely by mountains for miles, definitely several hundred, most likely, and is completely and utterly isolated. As shown in the movie, there's like a beach on top of a roof, and there's like a ski resort in the city alone, but it's not on hill. It's all artificial, meaning that most likely this place doesn't have an airport, meaning this place probably won't have supplies flown into it from the federal government. It will most likely stand completely and utterly alone in an insurgent operation. So that makes it much more easy to launch insurgent-style raids on convoys, get up enough equipment to where then you can possibly try to storm the city and take it. So going on to Thneedville. So first, we're going to talk about the outer walls. The outer walls, what look like to me just thin stamped sheet metal in different layers. There's like multiple layers to it, and it's surrounded by like an oil moat. So most likely you could get like an old ZSHU Soviet anti-aircraft gun and blast through those walls, and it'd probably penetrate. And if you know that there's a military target behind it, you could probably shoot through those walls and take out that military target. So moving on to Thneedville. Thneedville is basically a capitalist utopia that most likely, well, it doesn't have any limits on enterprise. It was built off of a millionaire's idea. That's why it exists in the first place. And O'Hare just took it over. So O'Hare probably has some connections with Lockheed Martin or Raytheon. So he could probably call up these guys and go, beep bop beep beep bop. Hey, I need another 72 Hellfires to blow up random ass children that are just sitting in my lawn. He could just do that. So he has the definite technology advantage, but he doesn't have the manpower. Most of Thneedville is made up of civilians who most likely don't want to fight. It's 3 people other than O'Hare himself that are seen working for him are his 2 henchmen and that 1 delivery guy. So he definitely doesn't have that manpower. But let's just say he could recruit some of the civilian populace. it doesn't have a lot of supplies. It's running on bottled fucking air. So that should just kind of explain place is probably not going to last long. Never mind bringing in food, bringing in all this other stuff. Most likely is going to be like a 1 or 2 month insurgency before the insurgents just fucking walk through the city and everyone's lying dead because they haven't had anything to eat other than a moldy ass carrot in the last 2 weeks. So definitely the firepower and technology advantage. And judging off of their air power alone, maybe, because all that has been shown is one blimp and that little rocket thingy that O'Hare got his head strapped to at the end of the movie. So he could technically, if he recruits a bunch of the civilians and then straps them with that, he technically has a bunch of air power. But most likely those will get shot down real quick or crash. But like to what I was saying, these guys will most likely have to go out on patrols and hike through mountainous area and terrain to get to the insurgents, just like the Soviets did. And well, shit, the Soviet Union isn't around for a fucking reason anymore. It's not going to be good. And judging by basically the sheer cliff face of most of these mountains, it's nearly a vertical hike up for them and not for the insurgents, who just walk into a mountain, walk out the other side. And yeah, basically what I'd say is O'Hare would most likely send out maybe 3 or 4 different patrols max, maybe, before the insurgents have either all wiped them out and gotten enough equipment to tear down the walls and storm the city and take it without much resistance because most of the soldiers have been killed, or O'Hare has somehow managed to thwart off most of the ambushes in the insurgency due to their very limited supplies, due to the way the countryside is set up, and the very limited civilian support, will most likely crumble. Basically, this is a waiting game. Either the insurgency can wipe out enough, maybe 1 or 2 convoys, get enough stuff, and maybe get a few more civilians from Thneedville to transfer over to them, then they will be able to basically just walk through the fucking city because no one else will have the supplies. But if O'Hare somehow manages to kill off a few of them, it's maybe about a week or 2 before they just whoop and either go back to Thneedville or hike to wherever the fuck else is in said universe. But yeah, that's L theory. Basically, insurgents could probably just pop out of a fucking tunnel and just go bop, bop, bop into the city and terrorize the population into surrendering, maybe. But yeah, cool. CIA hasn't given me enough LSD as of late. They pulled me off the MK Ultra program, so I'm schizo rambling now. Yeah, cool. Bye.